Welcome to the channel. Today I want to touch upon a topic that is very interesting and has to do something with economics. It's about the national debt of a country. And specifically I want to talk about the country of Romania, as I am Romanian. And for example, the country of Romania, its national debt doubled in the last 10 years from around $96 billion in 2014. It's now at a record high, $190 billion. That amounts to about 55% of the GDP. After the Romanian Revolution, we had very good developed industry. The products that Romania made were mainly exported in the Western countries. The new democratic system in Romania, after the Romanian Revolution, inherited the country of Romania with zero external debt. This was one of the dreams of our leader, dictator Ceausescu. His work in the 80s was to get rid of all external debt so that Romania doesn't owe anything to anybody else. And that is why he was also hated in Romania because of the drastic measures that he took in order to achieve this goal.
Prima dată în istoria sa îndelungată, România nu mai are nicio datorie externă, nu mai plătește tribut nimănui și este cu adevărat independentă și economic și politic. La sfârșitul lunii martie am lichidat datoria externă a țării, care în 1980 reprezenta peste 11 miliarde de dolari. În total, din 1975 până în martie 1989 am plătit circa 21 miliarde de dolari, din care dobânzile reprezintă peste 7 miliarde de dolari.
And as I said, new political figures in Romania after the Romanian Revolution, they received a country with zero external debt, with, of course, a nationalized industry where everything belonged to the state. All the big industrial complexes, the factories that we had, all belonged to the Romanian state. So after the political landscape changed in the 90s in Romania and a new class of politicians came to power, there were a few years of turmoil in the beginning of the 90s where things were not settled down after the Romanian Revolution. Things were being changed around. Nobody knew exactly what was going on. There were a lot of problems internally. Of course, many actors on the internal and also external actors used this chaos in order to gain certain advantages in the political landscape of the country, in the economic landscape of the country, to get their hands on certain resources that the country had. Also, what happened during the 90s in Romania was a steep decline in industrialization and in the industrial production. As I said, during communism, during the times of Ceausescu, Romania mainly produced for export. They produced for export, they sold everything we made to export, so we get that income in order to pay out the external debt, which was also a logical step to take. In the 90s, on the other hand, you have seen that all these industrial complex and factories that we had built in communism, they didn't manage, or the Romanian state owning them, they didn't manage to take further this business relationship with the West, and everything took a different direction, and that was the direction of privatization. So that means that all these factories, all these industrial complexes, which were really, really big, employing millions of people in Romania, they were on the one hand privatized, that is sold to to private companies, mainly foreign-owned companies that bought these because they bought them at a very good price, like almost for nothing. The other thing that happened was that many of these companies were just led to go into liquidation, to go bankrupt. The people had nothing to do, they had no orders, then they shut them down and nobody took care of them anymore until they were sold like scrap. They were sold for the scrap iron, they sold only what was left. And now a big trend in Romania that you can see after 30 years is that a lot of these industrial complexes, the ruined buildings that still exist there, are being taken down. A lot of apartment complexes are being built there. Yeah, so just to take it all into perspective, as I said, Romania at the beginning of the 90s had zero external debt. We had some powerful industry, which in the 90s was piece by piece sold to foreign companies for almost nothing, or it was destroyed and sold at scrap metal also for nothing. This also meant that a lot of people working in these complexes lost their job. They didn't have work, they didn't have anywhere to work. And this is a period in the 90s when you could see a lot of Romanians living in the rural areas, in villages, and having animals and working the field, agricultural type of living, because they didn't have any money, so they had to make their own food some way. You also saw in the bigger cities people that were left without a job. They had really no perspective for the future. They also had children to raise, and it was really hard in the 90s for the Romanians. And of course that was the beginning when the Romanians or the Romanian government started to take loans from external creditors, from other countries, external institutions. I will not go maybe in another video in detail about what happened in the 90s in Romania, because if you are Romanian or not, I think it's very interesting to see how you can really destroy a country's economy and demotivate its people until they break down completely. But now I want to focus on the last 10 years, so the period between 2014 and 2024, because this is where we have more data, and this is where we see an amazing increase in the Romanian external debt. As I said, it doubled in 10 years, from 96 billion to 190 billion dollars. So as a Romanian, I'm questioning how could something like this happen? Romania is not a country in turmoil like it was in the 90s, coming from another system of government or from a revolution, but we are now part of the EU. When you read the news, everything, you say, okay, Romania is a developing country, you have a lot of investments that go in the country, but at the same time, when you look at the data, you can see that Romania is borrowing immense sums of money in the last 10 years from the International Monetary Fund, from the European Union, also we are borrowing, and from other private creditors that hold bonds and are part of the Romanian borrowing ecosystem. Another particularity of Romania borrowing so much money from external creditors is the fact that Romania has a special characteristic in Europe. And I will make a separate video about this or more videos, because this is such an interesting subject. So for example, there are millions of Romanians working in Europe. So a lot of people went to the West, which left Romania without its workforce. Of course, you can say, why would it need a workforce when it didn't have any working economy in the first place? Well, it needed a workforce because in a normal economy, you have the private sector where these people work, and the private sector pays taxes to the government, to the state, yeah? And so the state receives taxes from the private sector, and it uses these taxes to keep the state going, like to pay for teachers, to pay for roads, to pay for hospitals, to pay for all the institutions that keep the state going. So when you lost the private sector, you don't have any income. And this is where we come to Romania in 2014. And I think I tried to understand this. I read, there are articles online, you can find information about this. I tried to understand how did this happen so fast, like in 10 years for Romania to borrow vast amounts of money. And when you look at the whole story, yeah, you can see this development. You can see it step by step. We have now 35 years since the Romanian Revolution, and you can really piece this together, and it all makes sense. But the question that I have, why did this happen like this, and who does it benefit? Of course, the political class of Romania did everything they could to bring the country to its knees, so that Romanians have no other option but to go to the West to try to find a better life. And there is where I'm asking myself if these politicians had an agenda for all of this. It's a complex subject. I'm going to do more videos about this. I'm also trying to understand this together with you. There are some things I just can't wrap my head around. I mean, at one side, you could say, people or politicians, why would they do this? Bring the country, their own country, to its knees, or why would they work against their own people? Well, because of greed, or because they are also people. They try to do their best for their family and their friends and their companies. So coming back, you have the Romanian economy left without its main workforce, and you have the Romanian state. So let's go to 2014, for example, because I want to look at the last 10 years. So now you have a state which needs to function, pay its bills, needs to pay its employees, because a lot of Romanians work for the Romanian state. I don't know, it's around almost 2 million, I think now. It's about 10% of the population. But what another really important aspect is nobody knows how many Romanians left the country. I think it's about 10 million. Nobody knows for sure, but I'm going to make a special video about this. It's also the biggest migration in history of a nation, of people who left their country without a war taking place in that country. So this is, I think, a singular case in history, and this deserves its own special video, which I'm going to do. The Romanian state still has to work, still has to pay its bills. And what do? Of course, they take external loans. So after, we can see the increase in this exactly after the current president took office 10 years ago. His name is Klaus Johannes. Has a German turn to it, yes, because he comes from the German community, and he had very good connections in the European Union, being German, and the European Union being led by Germany. And as I said, you can see really the increase starting there, and in the last 10 years, the doubling of these external credits that Romania took. You are actually borrowing, and the future generations have to pay this. You would say, yeah, the politicians will do everything they can to at least keep the level of borrowing at a normal level, or try to pay back certain loans. But no, this is not what happened in Romania. So there's something missing in all of this. I mean, you have such a rich country, you have a big country. So Romania is not a small country in Europe. There are smaller countries which has vast natural resources, but you have at the same time a country that has a rising external debt. So that defies logic a little bit. That only shows the mismanagement of the resources that we have. I am pointing the finger at the political class in Romania. They are responsible for this, and they need to take the appropriate measures to correct it. Also, you have the pressure from the European Union. I mean, they they took us in the European Union, and of course then they tried to make the best of it. So you have the pressure put on Romanian politicians from Western lobbyists, from the European Union itself, from the European Commission. You have to adhere to certain rules. Then after you take these external credits, you also are being regularly checked, and these credits have a lot of impact on a country's economy. So as we see here, the International Monetary Fund does not require traditional warranty when lending to countries, like when you go to the bank and you take a mortgage. However, there are some strict conditions to ensure repayment and economic stability. And these conditions usually include structural reforms. The borrowing country must implement economic policies such as cutting government spending, reducing subsidies, or this is very interesting, privatizing state-owned enterprises. The IMF, the International Monetary Fund, tells you that you have to privatize your state-owned companies. So if you cannot repay the money that you borrowed, you have to take certain measures. And are these in the interest of the nation, of the people? I don't think so. So, macroeconomic adjustments. The country may need to devaluate its currency, increase interest rates, or improve tax collection. Then you have the periodic reviews. The IMF monitors the country's economic progress and can pause or cancel the loan if conditions are not met. In short, while the IMF does not take physical collateral like a bank, it ensures repayment by demanding economic policy changes and maintaining oversight. What I take away from all of this is the following. There are some things that make sense, like for example cutting government spending. That's an interesting one, which Romania did not do. Romania did exactly the opposite. They hired more people to work for the government, and they didn't do that. They used it always as a tool during election campaigns in order to get more votes. Then you have another logical one, improve tax collection. So yeah, I agree with these two, cutting government spending, improving tax collection. Then you can get out of debt soon. But look at these ones, these are really interesting. Privatizing state-owned enterprises. My question is, under which conditions does a country have to do this? And there's another good one, increase interest rates. So the IMF tells you to increase your interest rates. Okay, doing this, increasing interest rates, has an impact on inflation. And now let me show you that. So we are now on the Eurostat website looking at inflation rates. I'm going to use it as a table and to see the inflation rate of Romania. So as I said, Romania is a country that borrowed a lot of money and is in a big debt. Its debt increased, doubled in the last 10 years, and we find Romania here. Yeah, you can see Romania here, and here are the years 21, 22, 23, 24, and you can see the inflation in Romania. In 2024 had an inflation of 5.8. If I look at these other rates here, Romania is on the first place. So that doesn't make any sense for me in Europe, such a rich country, to be on the first position what inflation is concerned. Okay, in 22 and 23, inflation rose in a lot of countries in Europe, but to see this, that Romania has an inflation of almost 6, here it is, almost 6, in 2024 is amazing. So that's a lot. We can see it better on this map. Here you see the color, this dark orange over 4 inflation, and look at this. Romania is on the first position. Yeah, the highest inflation in 2024 in Romania. How is that possible? But you can see here how mismanagement led to a catastrophe in Romania. So I thank you for watching the video. As I said, I'm also trying to understand all of this. I will make more videos about this because it's a really interesting topic for me. It shows me how mismanagement can lead to deep issues in a country's economy, which have also an immense social impact on the people living in that country. And I think Romania is the perfect example of this. It shows how different factors influenced the economy, influenced the social landscape of Romania, and led to the situation in which Romania is right now. So once again, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.